So, ladies and gentlemen, members of the fourth estate, I am making a statement concerning the ongoing uprooting of Baobab trees in Kilifi County. And this comes further to a directive by His Excellency the President that the ministry looks into the ongoing uprooting of the said trees in Kilifi. And this is how I would like to present the statement. I would like to bring to the attention of the nation the following. That a private company and communities in Kilifi County entered into an agreement to uproot 8 baobab trees for export from Tezo location in Kilifi County to Georgia. The company consequently applied for an access permit from the National Environment Management Authority on the 28th of October 2022. That independency of the access permit approval by the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, the private company went ahead and started uprooting the said trees irregularly. NEMA followed this action with a restoration order stopping the illegal activity. Upon realization that the said illegal activities were still ongoing, NEMA went to court to stop the process. Seemingly undeterred, the private company obtained a NEMA environmental impact assessment license irregularly issued by the County Director of Environment in Kilifi County. It is worth noting that Kenya is signatory to the International Convention on Biodiversity, CBD, which the country ratified in 1994, as well as the Nagoya Protocol to the CBD, which again we ratified in 2014. The Convention for Biodiversity has 3 objectives, which include conservation of biodiversity, sustainable use of components, and fair and equitable use of the benefits arising from the said genetic resources, which could enable this kind of activity to go on, subject to strict compliance with due process. Nonetheless, plant variety protection is a form of intellectual property. The process of uprooting the baobab trees needs adequate authorization and a clear and transparent benefit sharing formula for the community affected, which evidently was not obtained regularly in this case. Ladies and gentlemen, baobab trees are a unique species and part of our natural heritage protected under the Constitution of Kenya of 2010. Under the Constitution, the state is obligated to protect and enhance intellectual property in and indigenous knowledge of biodiversity and the genetic resources of the communities. This is under Article 69C of the Constitution. Consequently, I would like to state the following. 1, I am in possession of a letter from the National Environment Management Authority cancelling the environmental impact assessment license that the said private company used to approve the said trees. Consequently, I have with immediate effect instructed the Kenya Forest Service to cancel the movement permit that had been issued to allow for the transportation of the baobab trees, pending a comprehensive assessment of this case. Number 2, I have consulted with the Cabinet Secretary for Roads, Transport and Public Works, and we have agreed that the baobab trees should not be exported out of the country until the agreements between the parties are properly regularized and the adequate authority as well as benefit sharing formula in line with the Convention for Biodiversity and the Nagoya Protocol, not to mention the Kenyan Constitution, are obtained and duly executed. Number 3, firm administrative action shall be taken against any government officer within the ministry's agencies that did not follow the due process. Number 4, I would also like to appreciate the many Kenyans who have come out strongly on various media fora that have constantly brought to the fore issues of environmental degradation. I wish to urge Kenyans to keep eternal vigilance in safeguarding our environment. Number 5, in addition to the existing National Environment Management Authority, NEMA hotline, I will immediately establish a Ministry of Environment and Forestry hotline where whistleblowers can help us in the efforts for environmental conservation and protection. Number 6, I have also instructed the environment lead agencies, that is NEMA, KFS, and others, to immediately streamline the issuance of environmental impact assessment licenses, movement and access permits, and such other instruments that allow for appropriation of our natural resources. Number 7, I have instructed the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, to strictly stick to the need for categorization of projects as low, mid, and high-risk projects, and this is in line with the second schedule of the Environmental Management and Coordination Act. This is in the issuance of EIA licenses and administrative actions to follow where there is any breach of this categorization to prevent activities like this from happening in future. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to assure Kenyans that as a government, we are on course with our plan to increase our national tree cover to 30% in the next 10 years by planting 15 billion trees. We as a ministry will not condone any retrogressive steps that would derail these efforts. And allow me to add that I have just come from the COP27, which is the international conference on climate change. And as a country, we are extremely committed to climate action. And this has been demonstrated in many actions that we are taking, including the very ambitious plan to plant 15 billion trees in the next 10 years. And we need the support of each and every Kenyan. We want the buy-in of individual Kenyans, the buy-in of the private sector, the buy-in of our development partners, and even non-governmental organizations. Because the issue of climate change should be a concern for each and every one of us. We don't need to state the adverse effects that we are faced with as a country and as a globe around climate change. The drought that we are faced with currently as a country has led to the loss of close to 3 million livestock and very serious cases of food insecurity. So for me, as I say that we will not condone anybody who would want to take us back. We are moving forward in conserving our environment to make sure that we are secure as a nation, and also contributing to the efforts being made globally to stabilize our environment. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If there are no questions, I have copies that you can take away for the statement. Thank you. Yes. Ya kuanza kupanda tumeanza tayari. Actually, the fact of the matter is that there are various efforts, tree planting efforts going on in the country. I have met individuals, I have met non-governmental organizations, private sector players who are involved in tree planting. The task ahead of me is to coordinate these efforts. And we are going to put in place a tracking mechanism to take tab. We already know the statistics of where we are. In tree cover, we are at 12.3%, and we are taking it to 30% in the next 10 years. So the efforts are ongoing. We are going to intensify, and we will have a tracking mechanism to see where we stand in the run-up to the 15 billion. Thank you. One more? Yeah.
Do you have the budget? Roughly how much do you need to hit that target? And the other question is on COP27 resolution. Are you satisfied with the resolutions that were given after 2-week deliberation?
I am aware. I left the COP27 before the conclusion, but I know that the resolutions that have been arrived at, I would say there are good ones and very disturbing ones. One of the good ones is that the final text has made a clear statement on the question of financing loss and damage. Loss and damage is, we are saying, as developing countries, we are making the least contribution in terms of global warming. Yet, when it comes to the loss and damage, we are facing the harshest form of loss and damage. And with that, we are saying that the developed countries who are contributing, African countries are contributing less than 4% to global warming. The developed countries are contributing 80%. And then when it comes to who suffers the most, it's the other way around. So we are saying for those that have the financial muscle, let them contribute to alleviating the suffering that we are faced with as the developing countries. There is a lot of politics around that, and it is not clear. The political will is missing. So for me, that is a downside of the COP27. But the fact that there is an admission that actually the loss and damage needs to be supported to alleviate the suffering is of importance. The other discomforting aspect of the outcome of the COP27 is the fact that there is a deliberate attempt to not accept the special needs and circumstances for Africa, which again ties to who contributes the most, who suffers the most. Yeah. Yes.
Are you from Citizen today? You have mentioned in your action plan, NEMA and KSS and other agencies that are here. And you pointed out the issuance of license and the categorizations into low, medium, high risk.
Yes. Yes.
And in effect to this, will you point the agency, and in that regard, will you point corruption as being a problem within the agency in the issuance of also other licenses in effect of conservation? You have mentioned action plan. Are there government officials who are already facing charges in the course of it?
With regard to this particular matter, first I'll address the issue of categorization. The need for categorization is very critical. The baobab trees, the cutting of baobab trees, because it's a huge heritage for our country, of cultural significance to the people of the coast. It is then at the level of a high-risk activity, which requires a high level of scrutiny in any form of appropriation. So that is why it's very important. When it comes to action against government officials that are involved in any malpractice in the issuance of impact assessment licenses. I have just said that this is a process that I am keenly looking into, and people have to take responsibility, because we cannot be saying we are moving forward and some people are moving us back. Yeah. Thank you very much.
There was a report which was released by the council showing that KFS is a long corruption in the part of our natural resources.
Showing what?
Showing that KFS officials were doing malpractices that were destroying our nature. But since then, nothing seems to have been moving.
It is in the ambit of what I have said. This is just an isolated case which needs an in-depth analysis and appraisal to establish if there is any culpability on the side of government officials, and the necessary action will be taken. So if such a report does exist, it is where we will start from. Because as the ministry, we have to lead from the front and Kenyans to follow us in our initiatives. Asanteni sana.